My wife left me for a spiritual guru, saying I was trapped in the matrix and couldn't vibe at her frequency. She took everything she could carry. I just smiled. She's now stranded at a spiritual retreat in the desert because my best friend, the guru's disgruntled ex-business partner, just drove off with her money and the only car for 100 miles. Right now, my wife is sitting in a conference room at the Holiday Inn in Barstow, trying to explain to 43 angry people why their spiritual guru took their money and left them with a bounce check for a $30,000 venue rental. She's also probably realizing that being the co-facilitator means you're legally responsible when the main facilitator drives off in his leased Mercedes with everyone's cash. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning, because this whole situation is absolutely insane, and I need to tell someone who'll appreciate the cosmic justice of it all. I'm Jake, 38, and I work in IT for a medium-sized company. Nothing fancy, but it pays well, and I've been there long enough to have decent benefits. My wife Linda was 35, worked as a yoga instructor at a chain gym. We'd been married 8 years, together for 10. Life was pretty normal until about 2 years ago. It started with YouTube videos. Linda discovered this whole corner of the internet dedicated to wellness and consciousness expansion. First, it was just morning meditation videos and green smoothie recipes. I didn't care. If watching some woman in Bali talk about chakras while making spinach juice made her happy, great. Then she found Anthony. Anthony ran a channel called Ascending Beyond the Matrix, where he'd post these 3-hour videos sitting cross-legged in what looked like a rented studio with fake plants. He wore all white, had this perfectly groomed beard, and talked in this slow, measured way about frequencies and dimensions and how we were all trapped by density thinking. I watched one video with her because she insisted. 3 hours of this guy explaining how the government uses fluoride to calcify your pineal gland and how eating meat lowers your vibration to slave frequency. He had this whole cosmology worked out where there were 12 dimensions and most people were stuck in the third because they watched TV and paid taxes. This is complete nonsense, I told Linda when it finally ended. That's exactly what someone in the third dimension would say, she replied, completely serious. Linda, he just spent 20 minutes explaining how aliens built the pyramids to charge crystals. You weren't really listening. He said they were interdimensional beings, not aliens. That should have been my sign to run, but after 8 years of marriage, you don't bolt at the first sign of weirdness. Everyone's entitled to an odd hobby. My buddy collects vintage lunchboxes. Linda's thing was just different. But it escalated. She started watching Anthony's videos every day. Then she found out he had premium content for $199 a month. I said absolutely not, that's a car payment, so she paid for it from her own account. We'd always kept separate fund money accounts along with our joint account for bills, so technically it was her money to waste. The premium content was worse. Now Anthony was teaching about light codes and DNA activation, and how his true followers could learn to photosynthesize like plants if they reached the right frequency. Linda tried it for a week, claiming she didn't need food anymore. I caught her at 2 a.m. standing in front of the open fridge eating leftover pizza with her hands. I thought you were photosynthesizing, I said. I'm just grounding myself with earth-based nutrition, she replied, mouthful of pizza. Then came the workshops, $50 for a 2-hour online session where Anthony would guide people through quantum breathing or Merkaba activation or some other made-up nonsense. Linda attended religiously. Our credit card statements started showing these recurring charges, $50 here, $75 there, $30 for a PDF about sacred geometry meal planning. I tried talking to her about it. Linda, this guy is clearly running a scam. Look at his website. He's selling blessed water for $40 a bottle. It's not blessed, it's structurally aligned through sound frequencies. There's science behind it. What science? Show me one peer-reviewed study. She pulled up some blog posts from a website called quantumtruthrevealed.net that looked like it was designed in 1997. The study was just testimonials from people who bought the water. 6 months into her Anthony obsession, she announced she wanted to attend his weekend retreat in Sedona. Consciousness Activation Intensive. 3 days for $2,000. Absolutely not, I said. That's insane money for a weekend. I have my grandmother's inheritance, she said. This was news to me. Apparently she'd been sitting on about $15,000 from when her grandmother passed 2 years ago. It's my money, and this is what Grandma would have wanted. Your grandmother was a Presbyterian who thought yoga was satanic. She definitely wouldn't want this. But Linda went anyway. Came back with crystal jewelry, a new vocabulary full of cosmic terminology, and stories about how Anthony had activated her light body and shown her past life memories. Apparently she was an Atlantean priestess. Of course she was. The relationship deteriorated fast after that. Every conversation became about frequencies and dimensions. She'd insist on playing Anthony's videos during dinner. She bought crystals that cost more than our monthly grocery bill and placed them around the house to raise the vibration. She tried to throw away our microwave because Anthony said it corrupted food's natural frequency. I drew the line when she wanted to cancel our health insurance. We don't need it, she said. Anthony taught us how to heal with intention. Disease is just blocked energy. Linda, that's not how cancer works. That's such a third-dimensional mindset. 8 months ago, she announced she was attending Anthony's Master Facilitator training, a full week in the desert for $5,000. She'd learn to run her own workshops and spread his teachings. It was limited to his most devoted students. You can't be serious, I said. I've never been more serious about anything. This is my calling. Your calling is to give some con artist $5,000 to sit in the desert? You'll never understand because you're spiritually closed off. Anthony says people like you are energy vampires. That stung. 8 years of marriage and I'm an energy vampire because I don't believe in interdimensional aliens and crystal healing. She went to the training. When she came back, she was different, distant, like she was looking through me instead of at me. She spoke in this weird, affected calm voice all the time, even when she was clearly angry. She'd meditate for hours, sitting in our living room surrounded by crystals, playing these droning sounds that she claimed were galactic frequencies. 2 weeks after she got back, I came home from work to find half her stuff gone and divorce papers on the kitchen counter. The sticky note on top said, "Our soul contracts have completed. Anthony and I are twin flames meant to ascend together. I'm choosing love over fear." I sat at that kitchen counter for an hour just staring at those papers. 8 years, and she left me for a YouTube guru named Anthony. The divorce papers were insane. She wanted half the house value, half my 401k, spousal support for 3 years. Her reasoning was that her spiritual work during our marriage had energetically supported my career success. I called a lawyer the next morning. Good thing too, because Linda started posting on social media about our split immediately. According to her posts, I was spiritually abusive, had tried to dim her light, and was trapped in toxic masculinity that couldn't handle her evolution. She actually used the phrase financial abuse because I wouldn't pay for her retreats. My lawyer, a no-nonsense woman named Carol, looked at the posts and actually laughed. She left you for another man, and she's calling you abusive for not funding it? This is going to be a very easy case. While Carol handled the legal stuff, I tried to move on with my life. The house felt empty but peaceful. No more meditation music at 5 a.m. No more crystals in the dishwasher. No more finding sage ash on my keyboard because she'd cleansed my computer. That's when my friend Dave got involved. Dave's a private investigator, used to be a cop until he got tired of the bureaucracy. We were having beers one night, and I told him the whole story. "Anthony Enlightenment?" he asked, nearly spitting out his beer. "That's what he's calling himself now? You know this guy?" "Oh, I know Martin Kowalski. He dated my ex-girlfriend's sister back in 2018, called himself Anthony Awakening then. Scammed her for about $8,000 before disappearing. He runs the same con every few years in different states." Dave pulled up his laptop and started showing me Anthony's history. Different names, same scam. Martin Kowalski from Riverside, California. 2 bankruptcies, a failed supplement company, 3 exes with restraining orders. He'd been Anthony Enlightenment, Anthony Awakening, Martin Ascension, even tried calling himself Cosmic Martin for a while. "This guy's like a spiritual grifter Pokemon," Dave said. "He just evolves into a new form every time he gets caught." "Can we report him?" "For what?" Being full of crap isn't illegal. He's careful, always delivers some kind of service so it's not fraud, moves before anyone can build a real case, never stays in one state long enough for authorities to care. Then Dave found something interesting. Anthony had a new retreat scheduled. The Ultimate Consciousness Convergence. A week-long intensive in the desert. $5,000 per person, limited to 50 spots. And there was Linda, listed as co-facilitator. Your ex is helping him run it, Dave said, showing me the website. Her picture was there with a bio about her journey from density to light and how she was called to help others break free from the matrix. Good for her, I said, trying to mean it. Not my problem anymore. But then Dave kept reading. The retreat center they'd booked required a $30,000 deposit. The dates were set, people were signing up, and Dave recognized the venue. I know this place, he said. Did some work for them last year. They have a strict cancellation policy. If you don't pay in full 48 hours before the event, they keep the deposit and can sue for the rest. A plan started forming in Dave's mind. I could see the gears turning. How much would you pay to watch this blow up in their faces? Dave, I just want to move on. Come on. She tried to take half your stuff while running off with a con man. Don't you want a little karma? What are you thinking? Dave's plan was beautiful in its simplicity. He'd attend the retreat as a wealthy seeker looking for meaning. Drop hints about recent inheritance, talk about feeling lost after making money, be the perfect mark. Then, midway through the retreat, he'd casually mentioned that his friend at the state tax board had told him they were investigating spiritual teachers who only accepted cash payments. Watch how fast Anthony runs, Dave said. These guys are always dodging taxes. The mention of an investigation will send him packing. That's kind of elaborate for petty revenge. It's not revenge, it's justice. Plus, I'll get to spend a week watching your ex try to teach people how to photosynthesize. That's worth $5,000 right there. I told him no initially, but Linda's social media posts were getting worse. She was telling people I'd tried to sabotage her spiritual journey, and that I was the reason she'd been stuck in low frequency for so long. When she posted that I'd been emotionally abusive for questioning Anthony's teachings, I called Dave. Do it, I said. Dave signed up for the retreat under a fake name, David Goldwater, tech entrepreneur seeking meaning after selling his company. He created a whole backstory, even set up social media profiles. The man was thorough. The retreat started on a Monday. Dave drove out to the venue, a ranch about 2 hours from the city that advertised itself as a transformational space, but looked like an old dude ranch with some Buddha statues scattered around. He sent me updates when he could sneak away. Day 1, just arrived. Anthony greeting everyone in full guru costume, white linen everything, prayer beads, the works. Your ex is here playing assistant guru, already collecting phones because digital frequencies interfere with consciousness expansion. I hit a backup. 43 people here besides staff. That's $215,000 in revenue for a week. Anthony driving a new Mercedes G-Wagon. Very spiritual. Later, evening session was Anthony explaining how money is just energy and we need to release attachment to it. Then immediately asked if anyone wanted to upgrade to VIP status for an extra $2,000. 6 people did. Your ex handled the credit card machine. Day 2. Morning yoga led by Linda. She kept talking about sacred geometry, but clearly just memorized the words. One woman asked what made the geometry sacred, and Linda said, the angles. Anthony jumped in to save her. Breakfast was quinoa and something they're calling activated almonds. Pretty sure they're just regular almonds. Dropping hints about my wealth, Anthony very interested. Afternoon. Anthony did a 2-hour lecture on how the pyramids were built by Atlanteans to store consciousness. Used a lot of quantum physics terms incorrectly. PhD in the group keeps correcting him. PhD has been moved to the back row. Linda teaching workshop on crystal healing. Literally just telling people to hold rocks and think positive thoughts. Someone asked about their healing properties. She said they vibrate at the frequency of wellness. Going to be a long week. Day 3. Major development. Casually mentioned my friend at the tax board during lunch conversation about charitable giving. Said he'd mentioned they were cracking down on cash-only spiritual businesses. Anthony went pale under his spray tan. Left lunch early. Linda trying to figure out why he's upset. Evening. Anthony announced he has to leave tomorrow for emergency spiritual business in Sedona. Says Linda will continue leading the retreat with his remote guidance. Linda looks thrilled, talking about divine timing and how the universe is testing everyone. Several people asking about partial refunds, Anthony saying refunds lower your vibration. Day 4. Anthony left at dawn in the G-Wagon, took the cash box with him. Linda discovered this around 8 a.m. when someone wanted to upgrade to VIP. Now she's trying to explain that physical money doesn't matter, while also asking people to Venmo her personally. Crowd getting restless. PhD guy pointing out logical inconsistencies in everything. Linda close to tears but maintaining her high-frequency voice. Noon. Venue manager just showed up. Anthony's check for the balance bounced. Needs $30,000 by end of business day, or he's shutting down the event and calling police. Linda on phone with Anthony, can hear her from across the ranch. He's not answering. She's trying to maintain calm spiritual voice while obviously panicking. Day 5. Complete meltdown. Linda had to admit Anthony isn't coming back. Tried to spin it as a lesson about non-attachment. Crowd not buying it. PhD guy actually giving impromptu lecture on cognitive biases and sunk cost fallacy. Half the group listening to him instead of Linda. Venue manager threatening legal action. Linda maxing out personal credit cards to cover some costs. Several people demanding refunds. She's explaining that she's not responsible for Anthony's business decisions. Someone pointed out website lists her as co-facilitator. She's now locked in the conference room on the phone with lawyers. Final update. Retreat ending 2 days early. Venue manager accepted $15,000 from Linda's cards as partial payment, setting up payment plan for rest. Most attendees left angry. Linda's still here trying to figure out how to get home. Her car was apparently Anthony's, and he took it. Offered her a ride. She said she'd rather hitchhike than accept help from someone with dense energy. Left her with the venue manager. He seems nice. So that's how Linda went from ascending beyond the matrix to maxing out credit cards at a Holiday Inn conference room, trying to explain to 43 angry people why their spiritual teacher disappeared with their money. She made it back to town eventually. Started blowing up my phone about how I'd sabotaged her divine mission and sent negative energy to destroy her work. When I pointed out I hadn't done anything except refuse to fund her guru worship, she accused me of spiritual warfare. The legal aftermath was interesting. Several attendees filed complaints with the Better Business Bureau and the State Attorney General. Linda, as the listed co-facilitator who'd handled financial transactions, was named in several civil suits. She tried to get me to help with her legal bills. You have $15,000 in grandmother inheritance, I reminded her. I invested that in Anthony's Costa Rica retreat center. There is no retreat center, is there? Not yet. He's still raising funds. She actually still believed in him, even after he'd abandoned her with a $30,000 bill and a room full of angry people. My lawyer Carol was having a field day with the divorce proceedings. Linda's social media posts calling me abusive were undermined by her publicly thanking Anthony for saving her from a toxic marriage. Her request for spousal support was denied when Carol showed she'd spent $50,000 on retreats and workshops in 2 years while claiming financial hardship. The best part came when Linda tried to argue she deserved half my 401k because her spiritual work had energetically supported my career. The judge actually asked her to explain what that meant. She spent 5 minutes talking about frequencies and dimensions while the court reporter tried to keep a straight face. Divorce was finalized last month. Linda got her personal belongings and nothing else. No house, no retirement, no spousal support, just her crystals and the debt from covering Anthony's retreat disaster. She moved in with her sister, who charges her actual rent and doesn't buy into the spiritual stuff. Last I heard, she was working at a vitamin shop and still posting about her journey to higher consciousness on Instagram. She's down to about 200 followers from the 5,000 she had when she was with Anthony. Anthony, meanwhile, has resurfaced in Arizona as Phoenix Illumination. Same scam, new name, fresh batch of seekers. Dave keeps tabs on him, says it's like watching a slow-motion train wreck on repeat. He'll run the same con until someone finally presses charges that stick. My life? Quiet. Peaceful. Deeply grounded in the third dimension, where bills get paid and checks don't bounce. I'm dating someone new. Met her at a hiking group. She teaches high school biology, believes in actual science, pays for her own meals, and thinks crystals are pretty rocks, nothing more. The house feels different now. No incense, no meditation music at dawn, no crystals charging in the windowsills. Just normal life with normal problems and normal solutions that don't involve interdimensional beings or vibrating at higher frequencies. Linda sent me a message last week, said she'd done a lot of reflecting and realized that maybe she'd been too quick to trust the universe. Asked if we could talk about possibly reconciling, said she'd learned her lesson about false gurus and wanted to try again with someone stable and grounded. I replied, "My frequency is incompatible with yours. Try another dimension." She blocked me after that. Guess my vibration was too low for her elevated consciousness. Dave and I had beers last week. He still laughs about the retreat disaster. You should have seen her face when she realized Anthony took the cash box. Like watching someone realize Santa isn't real, but Santa also stole their rent money. Feel bad for the other people who lost money, I said. I kept a list. Most are pursuing small claims against both of them. That PhD guy is actually writing a paper about it. Financial exploitation in New Age movements. A case study. He interviewed me. You're gonna be in an academic paper? Under a pseudonym. But yeah, David Goldwater, tech entrepreneur turned whistleblower, has a nice ring to it. The universe works in mysterious ways, Linda always said. Turns out she was right. It mysteriously works to separate fools from their money and deliver consequences to those who exploit others' faith. My frequency remains firmly anchored in reality. The boring, bill-paying, check-clearing reality where spiritual teachers can't manifest money, but they sure can steal it. Where ascending to higher dimensions looks a lot like falling for obvious scams. Where twin flames can't even maintain a checking account. But what do I know? I'm just an energy vampire living in the matrix, enjoying my low-frequency life with my functioning credit cards and my complete lack of spiritual debt. Namaste, I guess. Update. Just saw Linda started a new Instagram account, Phoenix Rising from Spiritual Trauma. She's offering coaching sessions on recognizing false gurus for $75 an hour. The irony is absolutely killing me. At least she's learning capitalism, even if she failed consciousness expansion. Dave says Anthony is already planning another California retreat under a new name. The cycle continues. Some people never learn, some people don't want to. Me? I'm going hiking this weekend with my gloriously three-dimensional girlfriend. No crystals required, just good boots and plenty of water. The only elevation we're seeking involves actual altitude. The Matrix never looked so good.